Hey, what is up guys? It is your boy Speed here, and today we're going to be taking a deep dive into the laning stage against Nisha and Limp. Funny enough, Alliance ended up winning this game, but Nisha absolutely dumpstered the lane, and so I want to do two things. I want to look at how Nisha put so much pressure to the point where he got multiple kills on Limp, and then I also want to talk about what Limp did to try to make the lane as bearable as possible. So if you think this is going to help you in your laning stage prowess, smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, and let's get into it. And I'd also like to let you guys know that I just made a full-length replay review of a Terrorblade game I played over on the GameLeap website. It's not going to come to YouTube, so if you're interested in content like that, really, you guys know I try to give you the best information, and I do really believe in GameLeap, especially the videos I've been making as of late are very high quality, in-depth, educational content that, you know, it's a lot of fun to watch, and it's going to help you get to the next level. It's going to help you gain rank. Alright, let's get into the video. Alright, so the first thing I want to cover is a bit of a difference in the starting item builds between Nisha and Limp. Limp decides to go for a 3-branch Tango Quelling build. This is a very common build in losing matchups, so if you guys ever feel like your matchup is either a matchup that's going to be based on just securing creeps, or a matchup that you will lose and you need a lot of regen in, you should go this exact build and then rush the bottle, right? Obviously, because now water runes spawn in minute 2 and minute 4, and you're basically guaranteed to get one. And so essentially, it's really good to go to these type of builds. Now, in this case, let's really break down the creep aggro, the auto attacking, the spell casting, because I want to make sure you guys see the advanced stuff that allows Nisha to win the lane. It's not just some random basics, not just auto attacking here and there. There's a lot of stuff. So starting into the lane, he's going to be poking him, right? Going to be prodding him. Okay, Limp pulls creep aggro. This is the very natural transition of this lane. Nothing too crazy is going on. Now, funny enough, Nisha doesn't skill anything immediately, but you'll almost always take Death Pulse at level 1. It's just too good at trading. So the first thing he does, very clearly, is start auto-attacking the range creep. Why does he do this? Why does he auto-attack the range creep? It seems kind of weird. It's like in winning lanes in the side lanes, if you guys are familiar with the side lanes, in winning lanes in the side lanes, if you are in a winning lane where you can, you know, zone them out at level 1, which is super uncommon, but let's say you can, you wouldn't want to do this because it's going to push the lane in. But in the mid, it doesn't really matter if you push the lane in because it's going to reset anyways. And on top of that, by doing this, you can put a lot more pressure. So in particular here, what we see from Nisha is a really beautiful play. Number 1, he's going to nuke out the range creep, which is going to be secured by the Q. Number 2, it's going to hit Limp. Number 3, he can auto-attack Limp because he doesn't have to auto-attack the range creep, right? It's using the nuke to secure it. And hopefully there's a chance this range creep will get healed in time by the Death Pulse, and the God's Rebuke won't kill it, and he can get that deny as well, or at least make Mars miss the CS. And so it's a really nice set of plays. Now Limp is obviously smart enough to auto-attack the creep, knowing the heal will come out, and then he's going to continue autoing. Now he has a creep advantage, and Necro can basically always do this. Necro can essentially always gain a creep advantage in almost every single matchup besides like Viper, you know, something like that. The next thing to note about the mid lane is that denying under the tower is frankly easy. When you get good at it, it's easy. When I say easy, I don't mean it's literally like a simple task to perform. What I mean is it's really hard for the hero that's trying to last it to get last hits. And you'll see in this example here, the reason for that is if you know the damage variance, you can kind of just grief the last hits. For instance here, this is 1 range creep auto attack and 1 tower attack about away from dying. And so he can set this up, right? He can auto attack it, he can try to deny it here, throw up an auto to grief the CS. Now Limp is a freaking god and frame perfects the last hit, right? But all in all, this is what you want to do, and you'll see it's going to be sort of a rinse repeat. He can threaten healing the creep to grief the CS as well. That is an option, but for the most part, that's not what you're doing. You're simply just going for the denies. And by the way, you can do this as any hero that pushes out the lane. Lina does this, Viper does this, Puck does this. Anytime you're in a lane where the enemy cannot shove the lane back, you can push it into them and then deny under the tower. And this will basically allow you to reliably get denies under the tower. So if you're not abusing this in your mid lane, you're making a big mistake. Now, there are exceptions to this rule. If you're playing Monkey King, you might not necessarily want to shove the lane when you hit level 3 and you're against an Ember and you have an Oov, because you might want to just try to zone him off the wave entirely. But in most matchups, that doesn't really happen, right? That's not how it goes. Nisha's not about a solo kill of Mars with a bottle rush. That's not the meta right now. You can't kill most people right now at level 1 because, well, there's water runes. Like, it's that simple. If the lane's bad for them, they can just buy a bottle. And so really before I move on to the next portion of the lane, I just want to put how much of an emphasis Nisha has on just griefing last hits. Now Mars is one of the best last hitters in the game, high base attack damage, a low cooldown nuke, right? Really, really good at last hitting, but for most heroes and most players, if Nisha was to go against them here, they would get absolutely destroyed. Now eventually, at some point in the lane, you come online. You do enough damage where even with water runes and a 3-minute bounty rune and the frickin' rune meta, you can actually do enough to zone them out. And so I think that's about what happens here. At about the 5-minute mark, he has boots, a null, stick, 3 points in his Q, 2 points in his W. Kind of like a point in Ghost Shroud, you guys know how it is, but I understand, you know, with this favorable of a matchup, there's no way Limp does anything to him. He's probably not going to get ganked either, at least until Mars is level 6. And so going the greedier build does make sense here. And that's another thing to note about your games, right? You kind of got to know your matchup so you can adjust. But over and over again, he's just going to be looking to shove in the lane. It's kind of a rinse, repeat to guarantee the CS, get last hits, and continue to move on. You'll notice he has 38 last hits. Now, to be fair, he farmed a small camp stack. Oh my god, look at it. That was a beast play. You guys see that? You guys see that? I'm going to replay it for you. This range creep, pay attention here. Okay, so right here, Limp is like, uh-oh. I kind of nuked these creeps into deny range. That's not too good, so Nisha's continuing to grief, gets the deny onto the one in the back, and then because he's close to this one, he can queue it up. Oh my god. Absolute dumpstering here. And now you can see the network start to compile. And I really do believe a lot of mid laners, what they do, they make the mistake of, is they don't optimize efficiency when they can't do anything in the lane. What I mean by that is like, he can zone out Limp now, right? He can continue to put pressure now. The lane gets better, especially considering he has this level 6 advantage, right? Nisha is level 6, the Mars is not, and so he can do better than ever. But for the most part, the mid lane and the meta right now is last hits. And I'm just repeating it again, just so it really gets through your head that you need to make sure that this number is significantly higher than this number if you expect to be any good at the mid lane in this current meta. Another play that I really like here that I think is, I mean, extremely heads up. He's level 6. What does he not have skilled at level 6? Reaper Scythe. Yeah, Reaper Scythe. So funny enough, you know, it is a good spell. It's okay at level 1. It helps you finish off kills that you usually can't get. But at the end of the day, what is the main job of Necrophos? Force rotations, force the tower with card waves, and just be unkillable. You just want to be a nuisance. And Reaper Scythe is good for being a nuisance, but it doesn't make you unkillable. What does make you unkillable in most games in the early game is Ghost Shroud. And so he actually holds the point just in case he gets ganked. As we talked about earlier, Nisha is smart enough to know that he won't get ganked until Mars is level 6. But Mars hits level 6 and what do you know? It's a gank. And so essentially, this is really important to note in your games as well. You have to not pre-skill things like Reaper Scythe. Right, it's a big deal on a hero like Necro that has the option to take a value point in Ghost Shroud, and you can see that completely ruins this gank. They cannot do anything. All of a sudden he's full HP, the Mars arena is wasted, and he's in a great spot. The next efficiency play I'd like to talk about is one when you feel that you are not under threat of dying in the mid lane. This is really nice just to, you know, get a little bit of extra farm to amp your timings by maybe 10, 20 seconds. And that can be all the difference in a Dota game, right? You can do this on like hero like Storm, Ember, right? Any hero with some sort of wave clear. So what he does is instead of letting the waves approach and then nuking it out and having to run to a camp, instead what he does is he nukes out this wave, brings it towards him. It's nighttime, so the waves don't connect, right? They don't end up seeing each other. It's actually a decent way to test for reward as well. And now he can farm the small camp at the same time. On top of that, because of the rate that he farms the small camp, it ends up blocking it as well. And so you can see the real efficiency there, right? Blocks the camp, farms it at the same time as the wave, can now shift over here, pushes in this camp, back to the mid lane, shoves in the mid lane, and it's basically going to be a rinse repeat, right? It's a rinse repeat. And I want you guys to see this because I know a lot of mid laners, they fall into the temptation of saying, okay, I'm really strong, I basically cannot die, right? There's like no chance I die, and I'm just going to run around and gank, right? I'm just going to make plays happen, I'm going to go sicko mode, I'm just going to play like a psycho, and you don't necessarily have to do that. It's good to do what he's doing here, which is like taking over the enemy side of the map, right? He's sort of forcing rotations, forcing the enemy out of their jungle, making them kind of panic, worry about his positioning. Centaur thinks like, oh, I might get ganked if I step too far up. And that's great. But if your hero doesn't rotate, please don't rotate. Even if your teammates flame you in pubs, like you guys know how often in 3K games, I'm sure a lot of you mid laners resonate with this. If you don't gank and your side lane drow's like 0-5, Like, she's completely feeding. Like, 3 minutes into the game, she has 4 deaths, right? Like, you know this drow. She ain't carrying the game, okay? What people do wrong is that they listen to this drow, right? And by the way, sometimes they're right. Like, do keep in mind, this is not me trying to talk to say, you should always ignore your teammates every time they ask for a gank. That is the right thing to do. That is not what I'm saying, right? That is not what I'm saying. For instance, here, this is a great TP. We'll take a look at this. This is a fantastic TP by Nisha. But for the most part, if you're playing a farming hero mid, farm mid. Necro is a farming hero. The hero needs to hit timings. It needs to just get bigger than everyone else and then run around like an annoying, you know, Necrophos. And so here he's continuing to make stacks. He's made over, I think, 5 stacks for himself this game. He's farming that up. And now the only time you want to gank on a hero like this is if you happen to get a haste rune, right? Or if the enemy is diving your tower, because then your lack of mobility doesn't come into play. Anytime you're playing a hero like Necro that does not, like Necro, or what's another good example? TA, maybe a hero like OD, heroes that are innately slow. They don't have good catch, they don't have good mobility, they do a lot of damage, probably, but they don't really provide any control. They can't catch up to people. They don't have Remnant or Zip or, you know, Blink. They don't have any of these spells, and so this is the best TP. Not only is it going to potentially save Matama Man, he knows he'll be able to get his spells off, and because the fight has already been developing, there's even a higher likelihood that he's able to get a scythe kill off as well. And I love the transition of Nisha here. Finishes off a gank, and what do you know? Immediately back to stacking and farming. Very often, and I see this all the time, players are all or nothing. And by the way, this applies to every single role. That's a great freaking rotation. That's just heads up as heck. I don't even... You know, that's hard to teach. That's just knowing the matchup, knowing Lifestealer is going to be low, knowing that he's going to get chipped down, knowing the vision advantage there, approaching at the perfect time, beautiful stuff. But as I was saying, what happens a lot with players in Dota is they ride the emotions, they ride the momentum. His gank bottom made a lot of sense. The circumstances we talked about fell into place. But then they make the mistake of saying, oh, I just ganked and it worked out so well, I got a double kill, I'm just gonna keep ganking. You have to know why it worked. This is the same trap people fall into when it comes to like going high ground. They will win a fight in the mid game. They'll get like, let's say that you smoke, right? You smoke, you manage to pick off the Lifestealer, okay? Like in a game like this, they pick up the Lifestealer and they say, okay, let's run high ground, right? The Necro runs high ground. All of a sudden, he gets caught in a multi-man fatal bonds, gets bursted by the Lina Mars combo, and feeds and says, I can't believe it, my team sucks, we just want to fight and now I'm just dead, my team is trash. While they don't consider the fact that in the last fight, because of the fact that it was a smoke, there's a very low likelihood that he could get focused. And these are the things you need to think about in your games. Alright, and we're gonna about end the video there as we watch Team Secret take a masterful fight. You'll see here they end up catching out the Centaur, get him in the nice little Yules combo, beautiful, beautiful stuff. Secret always making plays, even though, as I said, they did end up losing this game and the series. Kind of felt like a bit of a throw, right? Definitely felt like they threw, but this is just so well done. They got this gyro, they got the missile, they can follow it up. They have Nisha to walk up the hills. Beautiful positioning, right? The Underlord and the Necro going up the hill. And even though, you know, that's theoretically bad because running heroes up no vision tends to, you know, go poorly. You're gonna get multi-man bond, stunned, nuked, stunned. It just doesn't matter, right? They have the right heroes, the Centaur's dead, so the chain stun definitely won't be long enough to burst anyone. And yeah, Secret knew that. They had the damage. And yeah, funny enough, Heartstopper ends up killing off Nico Baby. But thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed that early game breakdown. You know, it's a little bit different from what I typically do, a little bit more niche, but hey, I hope it helps you a lot. Go test out some of those ideas, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace! And that's all, but remember, before you leave, come on, before you tune out, subscribe to the GameLeap website, where we are going to help you get to the next rank. If you're stuck, click the link down below, and I'm out. Peace!